This is a horror game podcast. It is meant for mature audiences. It may contain adult language, violence, and sexual themes, as well as shocking revelations. Viewer discretion is advised. Greetings, fellow investigators, and welcome back to our video podcast, Into the Darkness, where my friends and I are playing the Vaesen role-playing game. I'm your host, Thom Raley. The scenario is called Borrowed Freedom. It was written by Matthew Sanderson, who is also our game master, and this is episode 1. For those of you who enjoy our content, you can show us your appreciation through our Patreon site. A couple dollars goes a long way to keep us going. We don't monetize, so you don't get advertisements interrupting the show. I'm happy to say that as to this date, we have produced over 1,500 episodes in 350 different scenarios and campaigns over the last 10 years. We couldn't have done it without you. So without any further delay, let's begin our journey into the darkness. Matt?
Right, thank you very much, Tom. So, in the various exploits that our illustrious gathered members of the society have taken place over the last few years, time has once again rolled forward, and it is now the 16th of March, 1871. Spring is tantalizingly close in the air, so it's not the frigid cold of Sweden like it is normally. The sky is fairly blue over Uppsala. There's only a few clouds which grace the horizon, but otherwise the birds are chirping, the temperature's rising, and it's a nice day. It's a nice time of year, and people are nice and upbeat. There's not any disturbance in the newspapers that there's crime is on the upsurge or political instability. It's all good for a change, which obviously means a scenario is about to start because the proverbial is about to hit the fan. But otherwise, it is a Thursday, as said, and normally your dear friend Anders would have come to you from the local train station with a letter in the morning, and morning has come and gone. There's been nothing that's arrived. So we'll do a quick round robin and let's meet our players or meet our characters and say what you're doing in Castle Gillencrutz in the early to mid-afternoon on a fairly lazy Thursday. So we'll start with Victor and go around.
Yes, I'm Victor Nystrom. At the moment, I'm cleaning. I thought it would be nice to get some of the dust off of things since Alcott does not do an incredibly good job. We need to get a caretaker to take care of the place, but perhaps we'll hire that at some point in the future. I'm going through the library, and we've set aside part of it as kind of our special library for those books that we've collected over the years that are a little bit more dangerous. So there's a locked glass front on it. Perhaps we shall find better security later as we go along. I am surprised Anders has not shown up this morning.
It's not every day that he turns up, admittedly, but if he was going to have turned up, he would have almost certainly have done so by now. But
Certainly.
But yeah, some of those books you brought back from previous exploits where you've come across old or forgotten chapter houses that had their illustrious libraries that you've been able to pillage or other people had previously pillaged. But next round, Dorothea. Where do we find you at this time?
Dorothea is in her office. She's writing several letters to gentlemen that she's met over the past couple weeks, and all she's got them ready to go. You have to throw out a lot of bait to be able to catch a fish, and then catch and release is what I live by. A little annoyed that Andresh hasn't come, so I could send my letters off. But I'm sure that just gives me time to write one more to Victor, who I met the other day. Not Father Victor, a different Victor, of course.
You have to keep all these different irons in the fire to make sure that
You
you've got options.
got to have a good logbook to keep track of what you've told each one of too.
I would say little black book, but you guys have previously had experience with certain black books before.
No.
All right. Next round on my order, I've got Helena.
Helena is in the library. I'm in a back corner of it with the window open, experiencing the fresh air, getting some light, and trying to seriously study the local Vaesen population, but I keep being drawn back to childish nursery rhymes about Vaesen and about uh, all kinds of political and social matters. But yeah.
All good. Yeah, there's some pretty dark tales behind a whole lot of those nursery rhymes. Uh, Next round, speaking of dark things, Valentina. What are you doing at this time?
Valentina spends a lot of time in libraries, and in fact, she's pretty much read all the local libraries top to bottom. And so when she heard about this unusual new collection of books at the castle, she got very excited and negotiated her way into the library. And she's now in a dark corner, greedily devouring all these tomes that she's never seen before, and wondering why there's all these people suddenly wandering around the library, disturbing the quiet.
People should be quiet in the library, damn it. But no,
That's right. Yeah, she's taking notes in this tiny little handwritten notebook. That she
Now,
goes by.
Valentina, as God warned Eve not to eat the apple, you must be careful with some of those books.
Of course, Father. They're sacred, I assure you.
Are you saying,
Well,
Father,
they're
that Valentina
dangerous.
can't read them because she's a woman? Is that what you're suggesting?
Not at all. I say that she can't. She may read them. She must read them with some discretion. They
I'm
are
so glad you
dangerous
gave her
books.
permission, Father.
These are my religious texts, Father. I assure you, I will treat them with the utmost of care.
See that you do.
starting as we mean to go on. I love a wonderful cohesive group. Right, next round, Franz.
Yeah, someone who's definitely disturbing the quiet in the library is Franz. And as the local socialist moving in has disturbed him, he's lined up all the fine china in the parlor and is taking shots at it with his pistol, pissing
you're
the
not.
butler off.
Not our fine china, you're not.
Okay, fine, the lame china.
All the stuff
Yeah.
you found over the last few years that's been cracked or otherwise chipped. The stuff
I have
you
to
don't
keep my
mind.
aim sharp.
There we go.
Do that in the gymnasium or something.
I'm sure your manservant's around somewhere. So he's probably gathering all the plates for to Franz to use as target practice. And last but not least, Henrik, where can we find you?
Well, the library's a little too loud today, so Henrik has been outside tending to the kennel, just checking in on the dogs, making sure they're fed and everything. Probably on its way back in at the moment, but the library was just too much going on in there this afternoon.
Great stuff. In which case, Henrik, you are the one that notices this being outside. You hear the telltale squeal of the the front gates to the castle open, and the dogs. They don't suddenly kind of stand up on their legs and kind of go on an alert status, but they hear it, so their ears kind of prick up and they look over in that direction, but they don't react with hostility as there is a young boy coming down the driveway that you will recognise as Anders. With a little bit of a skip in his step for once, actually. He normally is a little bit trepidatious coming here because he's brought everything from shoe bombs to letters declaring bad things happening in the rest of the country. But no, he actually seems vaguely enthusiastic for once. This is unusual.
I'll raise my hand and say, "Hello, Anders.
Oh,
What brings you by?"
hello. And he holds up a folded piece of paper. We got one of these newfangled telegrams for you, sir.
Well, all right, bring it over. Let me take a look at it. Let me see what you got.
Yeah, he comes over, say with a bit of a skip in his step, hands the telegram over to you, and says, "Yeah, we don't get many of these come in, and especially not late in the day. So I got paid an extra couple of pennies to come over and deliver this to you right away. So here I am, sir."
Okay, FAO Society for Studies of the Invisibles and Protection of Mankind Castle, Gillencrest, Uppsala, stop. Presence of Society urgently requested in Eslov Municipality, stop. Specialist knowledge required to assist police investigating recent deaths, stop. 2 murdered in hours of darkness over the last 2 weeks, stop. Time short and cannot discuss more over open communication, stop. Please report to Eslov Police Station no later than 9 a.m. Saturday, March 18th, if able and willing to assist. Stop. Your detective, Ekstrom, end. Okay. All right. Well, thank you, Aders. Are you coming in? Or
I don't want to impose, sir, but I know if your cook has some of those nice cookies or a hot drink, I wouldn't say no. It's still a little bit nippy
yeah,
down by the train station.
yeah, we'll come on in. You can definitely check and see if there's any cookies or something to drink laying about.
Yeah,
One of my
it
stray
should be.
bullets almost blows his head off.
Do
suddenly
watch your head.
Oh, Jesus.
He suddenly kind of goes in, quaking in his boots. That happy demeanor just evaporates in the space of a second. But otherwise, yeah, he will go in and duck and cover as he makes his way towards hopefully find the cookie tray.
I will make my way to the library.
Of course, now that I know Anders is here, I go downstairs and I hand him a stack of letters. I was like, this one goes to Johan, this one to Victor, this one to Charles, this one to don't judge me, and pass him by 4 or 5 of these.
I'm not. I don't judge miss. I was
No,
only going to say what it's only 5 today. But
oh yeah. Well, it was a slow week, but
well, I'll make sure these get right off to the train station.
you're a good
Just
boy.
as soon as I grab my cookie and drink.
Yeah, what was that? You're a good boy there, Anders.
And his mood elevates again.
Hmm.
I'll walk in the
Oh,
library and hold up the telegram like, Anders has brought by a telegram,
ah,
kind of handed out for whoever wants to take it.
Eslov Prince Municipality. Uh, why don't you, one of you ladies, why don't you grab the map off the thing and see where we're going to end up having to travel?
Uh, no roll required for that. It's you pull up an atlas and have a look. Eslov is about a day's travel away by the train line, heading roughly in the southwest direction from Uppsala. It's a little bit northeast of Lund, which is one of the other major academic centres in Sweden. If you were to equate in terms for our UK viewers, you'd be aware of Oxford and Cambridge. Uppsala would be one, and Lund would be the other. So they are both fairly academically focused areas. But yeah, Eslov is a fairly small place on the map. In fact, if you flick between a couple of different atlases, going back over with a few years between them, going back slightly further in time, Eslov's pretty much just a dot on the map. There's nothing there. But then in recent years, a more recent map shows that it has become a bit of a boom town. It has grown fairly rapidly in about the last 10, 15 years, you'd think.
What sort of economic background do they have? Are they miners, loggers, winemakers?
That would be time for our first roll of the game. So if you want to hit the books and find out more about Eslov, then you can give me a logic and learning roll.
Well, I'm cleaning, so somebody else wants to do that.
Oh, I'll look it up. Maybe they've got some they're miners. There'll be some nice strong men there.
But all you can think about, Dorothea.
You only live once, Helena. You should try it out. Uh,
Dorothea, you're the best gold digger I've ever seen. So
mhm. Two successes.
Oh, two. More than enough then.
All right. Eslov and its municipality. Eslov was originally a village founded in the early 18th century, located in the current crossing of Västergatan Remeslavagen. The building of the southern main line through Eslov, giving it access to Lund, Stockholm, and Malmö, has resulted in a decade of rapid expansion and prosperity in the area, to the point that some believe the large town may be considered a city within another 10 years. The town already boasts a number of prominent local landmarks, including the Stone Mountain, the Eslov Church, and the Hotel Stinson Sten, with the locally famous Scanish Steps. The wider, newly amalgamated Eslov municipality is one of the 290 municipalities of Sweden, situated in Skåne County in southern Sweden. The municipality has several interesting places, including but not limited to the following. There are 11 castles in Scania. Hulerod's castle is part of an estate that dates back to 1391. In the Vastra Stro village by the church, there is an ancient monument consisting of 5 standing stones and 2 rune stones dating from about the year 1000. Sweden's only sugar refinery lies in Ortofata, south of Eslov. There are 2 nature reserves, uh, both that start with the letter A. In flying, the Flying Kunstgard is one of Sweden's 3 national equestrian centers. It is the oldest stud farm in the country, founded by the monks in the 19th century, and breeds horses for the armed forces, police cavalry, and the Royal Mounted Guard.
I knew you'd be excited about the stud farm, Dorothea.
Oh, well, anyone that can handle the horses and stuff, that means they're in good shapes because they've got to run with them.
Good for
And
you.
as you got two successes, one other bit I'll throw in there for free on you is the mention there of the Stone Mountain. Maybe something that you might have heard of, just filtering on the grapevine. That it's an artificial mountain, or mountain's a bit of a grandiose term for it. It's a large structure that was built by an industrialist that moved to the area as part of this boom town, when the area was becoming very much go through its boom phase. He purchased a large estate and he kept dogs. And he didn't want to go out there and associate with the riffraff when he wanted to go and walk his dogs. He wanted to remain on his property. But he wanted something more interesting to walk around in. So he built this large corkscrew-like stone mountain structure so that he could walk his dogs around it and up it to the top and then back down again without having to mix with the filthy, unwashed masses.
Mm.
And then later, when his dogs died, he had them buried at the bottom of the stone mountain.
Oh, wow.
It's a other random bit of
Yeah.
maybe useful local knowledge that you pick up through that.
In my days as a PI, have I had any interactions or heard anything about this Detective Ekstrom that sent the telegram?
Not personally, but if I remember right from the various contacts that you have some good friends in the police department. They may know.
Okay. Let's see. Do we have a constable here? Or is that something we've unlocked? Police constable?
Yep, that's one of the contacts.
Okay.
I think that's the contact that's specifically associated with the private detective.
Okay. How would I get in contact with them? Just see if they have any information on this detective.
I mean, the local police station's within walking distance of the castle, so you can easily just take a few minutes out to walk down the street, knock on the front door, and ask to speak to your good buddy, and then
Okay.
see if they can fill you in on anything.
Yeah, I'll do that. I'll let everybody know. I'm gonna step down to the station, just see if I can get any information on this half an hour probably.
Okay. Right. I might as well do that then before going on to anything else, because that's a nice, fairly quick and easy one.
Okay.
So you head down there. Uh, all the police, they're all dressed in their very almost regal, because they're almost well, not quite paramilitary as such, but I believe they do have a military background. Very blue and gold style uniform, with a sword down by their side normally, for close encounters. But yeah, otherwise your friend is there. I won't put you on the spot and say, give me a name, give me an authentic Swedish name, because I don't think our constable has been named so far. But would you like them to be male or female?
Let's go female.
Okay, so we've got Constable Nova Stephenson, who she is at the police station when you call by. And again, because I mentioned there's not really much for the police to do, because it's been such a nice upbeat mood in the city so far for the last few days, that they're not sitting on their hands twiddling their thumbs, but she's not actively busy, so can easily spare you a few minutes to grab a coffee or take a walk round the block as you ask her some questions. So yeah, she steps out with you and says, "Oh, well, what can we do for you there, Henrik? It's been a little while since I've seen you. Hopefully
Uh,
things are going well over at the old castle."
yeah, things are going well. Everybody's enjoying the warming up of the weather finally. But yeah, all is good. Actually, I stopped by because we got a telegram from a Detective Ekstrom. Um, and I was just wondering if you've had any interactions with this detective or know anything.
Whereabouts are they from? Because it's ringing a bell.
They are the Eslov municipality south of here.
Oh, yeah, under the wider Lund jurisdiction down there. Yeah, we did have a not a run-in, but I know we definitely coordinated with her on a case at one point. So Regina Ekstrom, that's her first name.
Okay.
But yeah, she's quite a nice young lady. Very open-minded. I think would definitely gonna get on with you and your friends over at the castle.
Okay. Yeah, they've requested our assistance with a case they're working on, so I just kind of want to get a lay of the land before, we head that way. Just have some information going in. So,
Oh, she looks a little bit kind of surprised by that. I'm surprised that she would have reached out to you. Normal, unless I'm mistaken, uh, her immediate superior, he wasn't, or at least the last time I talked with him, he was not so open-minded as she was. That would be Captain. I think it was Lindgren was his name. Uh, yeah, Ragnvold Lindgren. That was it. Definitely one of the old guard. Uh, doesn't doesn't take God doesn't suffer fools. Doesn't believe things go bump in the night. That people are responsible for everything. That there are no such things as fairies or ghosts. And yeah, pretty much her diametric opposite. So she's reached out to you. I'd be thinking it's very much a sub rosa kind of thing. She wouldn't have wanted her superior to get wind of this.
that's good to know.
But
We will hopefully avoid the captain then.
hmm,
Does not sound like a fun character to deal with in our line of investigations.
no, he's saying not the best of people from what I remember. Uh, if you want me to dig around and try and find out some more stuff, I can probably go straight to her. If you want me to.
I mean, yeah, if you don't have anything else that's pressing, yeah, we'll take all the information that we can get. So I can check back with you and I don't know, few hours.
Yeah, so give me a couple of hours. I'll take a wander down to the telegraph office down at the train station and see if I can get a line directly through to her. So see if we can circumvent Captain Lindgren and see if I can get any more information out of her about this.
All right. I appreciate it. As always, Constable Stephenson, it's been a pleasure, and I'll wander back down here in a couple hours.
Sure, I'll meet you back here in yeah, say 3 hours.
All right. Thank you.
Anyone else? The father's lost his
No.
voice.
I'm going to change into my clothes. We should plan out the trip. I said it would take about a day to get there. We can go see what's available for travel.
Gotcha. All right, as your normal exploits, you would probably take train as the kind of default method to get anywhere, and you know that Eslov is on the train line, so that makes things nice and easy. Getting from the first part of your trip is the easy part because trains from Uppsala, you're on the main line that runs north south from Stockholm and then passes through Uppsala and then goes further north. Trains run every half an hour, so that's not the difficult bit. It's when you then start going through all the different connecting trains that would lead you further down as you head southwest. So you go from Uppsala, then you go to Stockholm, which then take you through to Norrköping, Linköping, Nassau, Avestra, Hasselholm, and eventually to Eslov. It takes about 16 hours.
Oof.
So if you were to
Get that all.
start now, you would almost certainly stop overnight at one of those locations. The easiest way to make it work with how the train lines work is if you set off early tomorrow, you could reach Eslov by nightfall.
Yes. Truly the most difficult thing is getting Alcott to pack all of our things. Alcott, pack our things.
Cut scene to him with his feet up in his slippers in his little room, drinking his cocoa, reading the newspaper.
I don't know why you bother with it, Father. He'll pack it and then he'll forget most of your stuff anyway.
He's never forgotten anything before, but he's very old and this is his one thing, and then he's going to get 2 or 3 days without us here.
Mm.
I'm getting a holiday? What?
Yes, we're going to be gone for a couple of days. So the quicker you pack our things, the better. We're going to leave in the morning.
Oh, why didn't you say? Right, I'll get on with that now. It's nice to get some peace and quiet around here.
I've learned over the years how to motivate the man.
Mm.
Can't pay him off with cookies the way we do Andish.
Well, it's unfortunate. Okay.
Well, if you all need something to bring, or think that there's something you'd like to, well, we can do some purchasing when we get there, of course, finding out what we're up against. But I'm definitely going to bring my writing utensils and my little log.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna go and see if there's anything in like the Swedish paper about these deaths.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So,
That's a very good idea.
Yeah, if you hit the regional press that you've got here in Uppsala, you get also newspapers coming from all over the country as part of your interest in such weird stuff out there. It's always good to have such resources to hand.
exactly.
Yeah, there's nothing really that stands out in the, especially in that kind of area around Eslov and its municipality. So whatever this is, either it's not being considered newsworthy or it's been suppressed for some reason. But yeah, there's nothing that immediately leaps out of you from the newspapers in that area to say that anyone's or any people have died.
Okay. Interesting.
Could I suggest to our scholars that we look for odd things in that region historically, folklore and so forth. Who knows what we'll come up against?
Do you think they'll let us see the bodies?
Yes, of course.
I mean, I'm a doctor.
Now, this would be, if you want, this would be potentially an opportunity for you to use your occult library to gain an automatic success, or if you want to use that later, depending on what information comes back from Henrik, you could do a regular research roll. So again, using your logic and learning to see if you can find anything about records of Vaesen type behavior in the area.
This might actually be a good time to use our guaranteed success.
Yeah, I mean, we bought it.
Yeah.
Stored all those books in there.
Yeah,
So-
yeah, it'd be a really good investment because we would get some knowledge of what we might face.
Excellent idea
You
there.
might also
Valentina.
get knowledge of things that we won't have anything to do with.
Well, that's true.
Knowledge is always good, though, Father.
Of course, of course.
Sure,
Okay.
we'll use the auto success on that.
Okay. Now, I'll keep this kind of floating around here for the minute because it's not immediately going to give you anything yet.
Mhm.
But what you do find as kind of a 0 success target is that there is very little in the archives about this area, and it's kind of backed up by the fact that Esloff is such a new dwelling place. It's a very new settlement that, or at least people have only recently started going there in the last few years because of it being a boom town. Before that, there's not really anything. I mean, there's the whole stone circle thing that goes back to year 1000 as that Dorothea found, but even that doesn't have much by way of Vaesen activity around it. It's more of a gathering place and a place of worship for like the old gods, but again, nothing that really screams, oh, there was a particular type of Vaesen that was active around there at this time. So you've got a very, very blank slate. So whatever you're looking at here, you're thinking this is probably something fairly new rather than it being something old that's kind of come to the surface. So this is, whatever it is, it's definitely a new problem. This has not got its roots in history, or at least not distant history, put it that way.
Man begins to encroach upon the wild places. He encounters these things.
Indeed, Father Nystrom, the Industrial Revolution and capitalism have done untold damage to the nature and wilds of Sweden.
Well, certainly to our way of life in the past.
Indeed.
Too much of a conflict between the old and the new.
Well,
Is Eslov on the ocean?
No, it's landlocked.
Oh.
So it's quite a way inside inland.
No water around it?
There's rivers, but there's no major bodies of water.
Okay.
The area itself, in terms of its topography, is fairly flat. So you've got lots of farming takes place there. There's occasional clumps of forests. A lot of more the forested areas tend to be in further north of Sweden. The south got deforested centuries ago. But yeah, it's mostly rural farmland and no real rising hills or anywhere of elevation. It's just nice and dull.
I'm kind of curious to see Holy Cross Castle in English Swedish.
Of course. Yeah.
and there's nothing of any elevation except for the Stone Mountain spiral.
Even then, that's calling it a mountain is a bit of a grandiose term. It's
Hmm.
basically a large artificial hill that was
The
made.
Dog Run.
The dog run, yes.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully the weather's is going to stay nice, and I'm still going to pack up some warm clothes in case.
Oh, of course. It'd be foolish not to.
No, in terms of climate, you've got an average height this time of year is only about 5 degrees centigrade, which I can never again remember what it is in freedom units. But
41.
there you go. Someone who knows that mental conversion a hell of a lot quicker than me. But it's only 5 degrees above freezing, so it's still pretty damn cold. The average low is freezing, is 0 centigrade.
Night, yeah.
Also, with for those, because there's always someone in my games that always asks what rise, sunrise, and sunset is. Sunrise is a little bit about 6:15 in the morning, and sunset is about about 6:15 in the evening, because you're only a few days away from the spring equinox. So
Hmm.
hence it being very, very much even day and night.
Yeah.
Well, I shall be in the chapel. If anyone wants to have their confession heard before we go, just in case there are demonic forces, I will be in there saying prayers. If you want my blessing, I shall give it to you. If you want my absolution, I'll give that to you as well.
Ah, good.
And then off to bed.
I'm going to also go off to bed. Hopefully, find one of my gentlemen to go off to bed with.
You flicking through your book, going,
Yeah.
right, who's available today?
Who was? Yes.
I'll
I'm
go
flicking
get
through my book looking for which prayers to say today.
I'll get blessed. I'm a good whatever they do in Sweden.
You're a good soldier. We're
Yeah.
Lutheran, probably.
Lutheran.
High Lutheran.
Yeah, the
So
Church
I
of Sweden
give
is the Lutheran Church.
Yeah. So I shall give my. If you have any mental conditions, like the sudden urge to shoot poor Anders as he walks through the door, I'll help you with your mental conditions.
That was an accident.
Orchid. Right. In which case, as we're kind of winding on to people winding down for the night, Henrik can have his meet up with Constable Nova, and yeah, she comes back with definitely she has a bit of a beam on her face, kind of waving a telegram saying, "Yeah, I've got some bits for you. It seems like there's definitely something that's up your alley happening down there."
Oh, good, good.
All right. She had to be fairly brief. Because I think she confirmed my suspicion that it was actually her boss that was. She was worried about him keeping an eye on what she was doing, so she had to try and get word out fairly quick. So I think I've pieced it together from these notes. Apparently, there's been two deaths that have taken place in a village not too far from Eslov called Flying. That there's apparently there's some kind of stud farm down there. And yeah, there's a local carpenter, a man by the name of Fred Olander. He died on March the 10th, and then a second victim on 2 days ago, March the 14th. Victor Brand, so ran the local dairy farm. Both of them got odd circumstance. Both found in their bedrooms in slightly different circumstance, but both as if they looks like they've been suffocated um, or smothered. So very pale blue lips, but lots of horse tracks around the inside of the house.
Blue lips, not red.
Yeah, blue. Yeah.
Interesting.
So not carbon monoxide.
Horse tracks in the house.
Yeah, they didn't find any tracks inside the first house, the carpenter's house. The stairs and all around the ground floor of the farmhouse. She did mention there was also apparently some altercation that Brand had locked himself away inside the farmhouse for the day before his body was found. So that would be on the 13th. But there was no such report from regarding the carpenter. Apparently, he was quite not a piece he was supposed to be building, that the person that commissioned it came by to collect it, and that's how they found the body, and that's how then the police got called in, and that's how her investigation started. But she's at her wit's end, because she can't find any suspects, can't find anyone that seemingly held a grudge against them, and now has this weird, potentially supernatural evidence of some kind of spectral horse having run through a house where it couldn't possibly have got inside.
Very, very interesting. I look over my notes just to make sure I got everything. Okay. Well, very much appreciated, Constable. I will owe you a drink when we return.
No worries. Always like to have a drink I can cash in at any point. I'll see what comes up in the bar.
Yeah. Well, you have one, so you cash it in, and I'll be there.
Always not while I'm on duty though.
Absolutely. Well, good evening, and I will head back to the castle with information.
Mhm.
See if anybody's still awake or not busy in their room.
Well, there's anyone want to leap on anything that's in there?
A horse hooves, you say?
Yeah, horse hooves. Just in the one house, so that was odd to me that it wasn't in both locations.
For sure, they were horse hooves and not goat hooves.
I'm not totally sure. I'm sure that's something we can definitely look at once we get down there. They said horse hooves, so
The horse
Yeah.
breeder, isn't it? So
Dairy farmer.
yeah.
dairy farmer.
It could have been the cows what came and killed them.
Yeah, but I mean, if they're used to having stud farms and dairy farms, well, I'm sure they would know the difference between hoof prints. I mean, you could tell them apart. But it could be
Not
could
only
be
the size. Yeah.
yeah,
That's
could be
true.
mistaken though. It wouldn't hurt to take a look at it.
And are we aware of any connection between this carpenter and this dairy farmer? I mean, do they know each other? Do they frequent the same circles?
Hmm. No,
No? Okay.
be another
Was
thing to.
wasn't in the info that Henrik was able to get.
Okay.
It seems like maybe a small village, so I'm sure they at least cross paths once or twice.
Yeah, that makes sense.
In case someone hasn't seen it, I have sent one of you a message on Discord.
Oh,
Everybody checks.
yeah, not me. Okay, well,
We'll head out in the morning, get there a little bit after nightfall. Well, 16 hours if we leave
Six-
even at sunrise.
16 hours, yes, be a full day's
God.
trip. Hmm.
Well, everybody bring something to read for the train.
Let's say we try to get there on the 6 a.m. train.
Yeah,
So
that'll
6
work.
p.m.
But yeah, 10
1
o'clock,
p.m.
2200. Yep.
Yeah. 200.
It occurs to me, since we have the names of the victims, and we do have a seance room set aside in the castle, who knows? Maybe before we go, we might have a little late night party.
Oh God, not another seance.
It's a hobby. What can I say?
It often doesn't. Well, I don't know why I'm commenting on it because I don't think that you should do it, but it doesn't often work unless you're where the bodies or near
Father,
where the
you don't
bodies.
have to participate.
People don't travel 500 miles to come to your seance when their ghosts are way over there.
Oh, I know Miss Johansson would be interested.
No, I side with the father here. This mystical, obscurantist, quasi-scientific nonsense serves merely to opiatize the masses and avoid confronting true oppression and violence. I'm sure it was the
Good.
agents of the state who committed this murder and now
Holy
seeking
shit.
complicity.
God, who brainwashed you, Helena?
Holy, that was a mouthful.
This is
All
liberation, ladies.
Just
about
because of that, I'm in favor of the seance.
There must be somebody on my side here.
Yeah, let's
I,
do it. Let's do it. God damn it.
I would do the seance.
Hendrik and Franz. So it's the three of us. And how about you, Dorothea?
I'm exhausted. It was a busy evening.
All right. Well, bring that whiskey then.
I mean, all that those bread springs don't squeak themselves, you see.
No,
So.
no, they don't. I need to tighten those up.
Okay, so Valentina, Franz, and Henrik, you want to take a wander down to the seance parlor, much against the good father's warnings of your immortal soul, and Helena, so definitely joining alongside him there.
I'll have another sin to confess in the morning, Father.
What if we die in the middle of the night?
Soul is only good if you can use it for leverage.
Oh, fighting talk there. All right, so as you've got assistance, Valentina, this is a roll for your observation.
Yeah.
Now, for those of you that are assisting, and it's always easier to form at least a group round a table if there's more than two of you. So for Franz and Heinrich, do either of you have points in the observation skill?
I have one.
I have one.
I think I do. Oh, no, I don't. No, I don't.
Okay, but Henrik does. So, Valentine, you get one extra dice from Henrik. So it's your observation plus your empathy.
Okay.
And then also add on your equipment bonus for your crystal ball.
Okay.
So plus the one from Henrik. And then
that totals 6 dice.
There. And you're looking for 6s.
I got 1 6.
Okay, 1's good. Generally, 1 is all you need. There are a couple of times when you might need more. More would give you, in this case, would give you more leverage over a spirit, or would be able to compel them to do extra stuff. But 1 is generally enough to get them to turn up.
Okay.
So the three of you sit in a triangle around this little table in the middle of the room. The lights are already fairly turned down low. There's lots of black drapes that surround the room to give it a nice dark atmosphere anyway.
What were the names again?
The two, in fact, yeah, which one would like to pick? Fred Olander was the first victim, the carpenter, or Victor Brand, the dairy farmer, was the second victim?
Fred Oland. I call upon Fred Oland. Are you there, Fred? Come in to talk to us, Fred.
Okay. As you're waving your hands over your crystal ball, all the lights in the room start to very slowly go down until all that's left is just this circle of light coming down from an undefined point above you that lights up the table and makes almost the crystal ball look like it glows. And the dark around you seems to extend off further than it should do. There's not even a hint of the walls being there anymore. It's just you standing on the edge of illimitable void. And from out of that void, you're fairly sure you hear footsteps and shuffling. And a figure starts to come into view, dressed in what looks to be a nightshirt, fairly average kind of clothing. A man that looks like he's in his late 40s, but is very evidently dead. His skin is very pale. His lips are blue, corresponding to if he had been suffocated, and he wanders towards the table, almost like he's in a kind of daze or trance, and looks between the three of you. Said, sorry, I appear to have lost my way. I thought I heard someone calling my name. Where am I?
Fred Oland, you have passed on. You are in the in-between place now, between the living and the dead. Your spirit is unsettled. You have something you want to tell us. Tell us what it is, Fred.
Well, you could never say that Valentina hasn't got a bedside manner because you just hit the guy with that straight off the bat. Um, yeah, he looks like he's been hit with a baseball bat in the face. What do you mean dead? I can't be dead. I just went to sleep.
Murdered, Fred. Tell us who it was. Who was responsible for murdering you?
I don't know. I was asleep. That's all I know. Like I mean I've been having bad dreams, but no one was kind of no. I don't hear anyone break into the house or been stalking me or even had a bad thing to say.
So you're telling me you had nightmares?
I hadn't been sleeping well for the last few nights.
Mares, as in horses?
But well, he looks generally confused. He doesn't know. However, as you've just come out of the ball swinging, I'm going to drop something into the chat that you already know about this particular type of Vaesen.
Do you want me to read it?
You remember, Fred? Help us find your killer. There must be something that you remember that will help us find your killer.
Should I read it? Should I read it?
Over to you if you want to do it now or after the seance when you inform the others. Completely up to you.
I'll just do it now. So Mara, the mare, night hag. The word Mara is. Oh, one second, let me get my glasses. The word Mara is related to an old Germanic word which means to press or crush. The mare is a hideous female creature who tormented people and animals at night. She crawls onto the chest of sleeping people and squeezes the air and the very life out of them. The sleeper wakes in a cold sweat with the sensation of being suffocated. The mare can get in through the tiniest knot of wood, so no room is safe. However carefully the door has been bolted and barred. Fortunately, the mare has an obsessive nature, so you can protect yourself by filling a hymn book with cow's hair and placing it in a window. Oh, cow's hair. The mare feels forced to stop and count the strands of hair and has no time left to harm people. Alternatively, you can scatter linseeds around the bed, which the mare is compelled to count. Occasionally, a mare will attack horses. You can clearly see if a stallion has been ridden by a mare because it is always found sweaty and foaming in the stall the next morning, often with tangled plaits in its mane. A hexagram, a six-pointed star, painted on the door of the stall will scare her away. No one really knows where a mare comes from. According to some, it is the soul of a murdered, unmarried woman who is trying in vain to seek the warmth and intimacy of a living person. According to others, they are ordinary women who change into mares at night due to a curse. The mare's mother brought the curse upon her child when she tried to ease her labor pains with black magic by crawling through the amniotic sac of a foal. Ew. Had the child been a boy, he would have become a werewolf instead. Oh, that's lucky. When the change comes over her, the mare turns into an oily smoke and then flies away into the night. The curse can be broken if someone says she is the mare the very minute she returns the next morning. However, wise people wait until she has resumed her normal form. Otherwise, there's a risk she will lose a finger or a toe that hasn't quite finished changing back.
Mm-hmm. So, seems like you've maybe hit upon something here. Now, with Valentina trying to get more information out of the spirit, you can give me a manipulation roll, because at the minute you're maybe getting the inclination that he might know something about who's attacked him, but he certainly doesn't want to say it. But maybe if you put the fear of you into him, then he might be more cooperative.
So I have this talent, which is
Fear?
conjuring tricks, where I can use
Oh,
stealth instead of manipulation
hmm.
when performing conjuring tricks to influence people. So if I really want to scare him, maybe I could do something like prestidigitation wise, to like make my eyes glow red or something, and just be like, what was his name? Frank?
Fred.
Fred, listen to me. You know, tell us what you know.
If you want,
This is your last chance. Yeah, I'm gonna try to make it sound really scary. All right, and then I get a manipulation, which is empathy. So that's 4 dice.
yeah, or because you've got that talent, you can use stealth or manipulation, your
Right,
choice.
and then I use stealth and stuff. So I use okay. So all right. So again, I think I have a total of 6 here,
Mhm.
and I got 2 6s.
Oh, there you go, enough to make him sing like a canary. He kind of breaks down on the floor, kind of cowering, looking at what he thinks are like the eyes of the devil in front of him. And he just curls, he folds like a cheap suit. He's saying, "Look, I don't know who did it, but I'm sure that no one there was only the four of us that knew about this. There wasn't anyone else, and there wasn't any other witnesses. That there's no way that she even knew. We knew for years that she could not remember the events of that night, so it couldn't be her. No one else knew.
Who is she?
Oh, just one of the girls in the village that she came back. Just Marie. She came back after she'd been away for a long time, and we'd all kind of had our eyes set on her. She was a beautiful girl, and well, we took her out for celebratory drinks at the inn and at the Silver Spur, and well, we got her so drunk that we were fairly sure that she wouldn't have said no to anything, and well, we he starts to get a little bit more ashamed, but he doesn't exactly go into many details, but he reading between the lines, they took turns with the girl.
You said Marie. Was that the name, Marie? Oh, Fred.
It never bothered me before. We knew from having talked to her afterwards that she didn't remember anything, that she had no idea of what happened that night, how she got pregnant, or anything. Just we could have breathed a sigh of relief when she couldn't remember anything. But yeah, just
Well,
I started experiencing the last few nights. I started seeing that memory play back from her position, and it ended with me seeing myself on top of her, with me and my other friends over the 3 nights leading up to that. But and then I found myself here after looking up at my own face, looking down at me.
well, Fred, I hope after here you find yourself in hell.
He looks back at Valentina with glowing eyes, and well, you said I'm at a halfway place. Surely I have an option. Shouldn't there be a light around here for me to follow or something? Isn't that how it works?
Oh, Fred, are you?
Unless it's light from an eternal burning fire.
He is getting very skittish. He's looking at you with just utter fear in his face. And unless you want to stop him, it looks like he's going to turn and bolt and run off into the dark. Anything to get away from you guys now.
I am not going to stop him.
Right? In which case he turns and runs screaming off into the void, maybe to go and find out whatever afterlife is awaiting for him. But whatever it is, it certainly isn't here. And as he runs off into that distance, your eyes start to acclimatize, and you can see again there are curtains around the walls. And you are back in the seance parlor.
I don't know what I was expecting. That was a bit dark.
That was.
Case closed.
Not sorry that one's dead. I mean, do we think the other one, Victor, is probably involved in this as well? I think it might be safe to say one of the friends.
Yeah, that means there's going to be 2 more deaths of the 2 other people.
I mean,
This is a revenge killing then?
at this point, do we need to bother wasting our time or let, things work themselves out?
Well, of course, the wheels of justice should prevail, but only the wheels of human justice, not of whatever inhuman justice there is.
Suppose it may not stop at just those 4 if it's really, I would imagine this Marie has a lot of vengeance in her heart after something like that.
That's how it often goes.
Yeah.
One thing is certain, they do need us.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to try to get some sleep after that horrible encounter.
Maybe you want to have some linseeds just on hand in case.
Yeah, and when they say hexagram, do they mean like the 2 triangles that are sort of inverted inside each other? Yeah, okay. That one I
Yeah,
should
six
remember that. On
points
the
down.
inside of the door. Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Right. Unless anyone else has got anything they want to do that night, we can skip forward to the next morning. Okay.
Rise and shine, everyone.
Somewhere outside, a cockerel screams, and then Franz probably takes a pot shot at it to shut it up. But otherwise, you are free to begin the next stage of your investigation. So this is where we have the Indiana Jones red line on the map, working its way down the various different train lines to Eslov. Now, you do have a little bit of time beforehand to gather supplies and gather equipment. Now, thankfully, things like linseed or prayer books, for example, they're fairly common. You don't need to spend any of your resource points on those. But to see how much you have in your society's piggy bank this month, everyone look at your number of dots of resources that you've got on your sheet. Add +1 because you have the treasure chamber upgrade. And if one of you wants to get an additional 2 dice for your banker, roll that many dice and then count up between you how many 6s you've got, and then see if you want to go purchase anything in particular from the local general store from your equipment lists.
So all of us
I'll
roll.
take the banker.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, so everyone gets your resources +1, but then the father will get resources +3. So one for the treasure chamber and 2 for the banker.
And a 6 is a resource.
A 6 is a success. So yeah, you're looking for those.
I only got 2.
I got 0.
I also got 0.
My resources have been collectivized.
Yeah, it's only just. Yeah.
I got 1.
I got 1.
Thanks to the new
Go.
Thanks to the new dishes that we had to buy last week, we don't have very many resources to spend.
1 short of a cannon. God damn it.
Yeah, get that on the train.
You still have the cannon from the previous scenario if you really wanted to take that along.
Yeah, no. They won't let us take it on the train anymore.
So judgy.
But you still do have your 4 points. Weapons corridor, and I think the armory is. Yes, it does.
Skipping in and out.
If nobody else wants that, I think I'll take that.
I'd like to make sure my order flashbulbs.
Yep, all that's all considered still operable and still working and all good.
Great. Good. So you said I had additional item of a sledgehammer, is that double as a weapon or it's just
Um,
a weapon?
it's a good universal lockpick as well.
Okay. Well, I'll make sure I'm dragging a sledgehammer along.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yep. Again, I think that was picked up in a previous scenario as well. So that is still available to you. You each have one slot extra on top of your normal starting equipment lists, which you can then keep that item between different scenarios. And to say the sledgehammer was one thing that was carried along from the last one for yourself. But yeah, if there's anything that you want to pick up from your equipment list, from the equipment reference sheet that I sent across, the
Hmm.
availability is the cost of those 4 points that you have to spend.
Mhm.
So if there's anything that folks want to throw out there to think this is something that might be useful, then now is
Ooh.
your time.
I won't spend anything, but I do have a small jar filled with linseeds.
Hmm. Yep, definitely no problem there.
I'll
I'll
bring
take.
my doctor's gear with the bone saw, of course.
Mhm.
Oof.
Can
Because those
I
bones always need sawing. Yeah.
That's right.
can I without spending any no just go ahead.
Mhm. You said, can you do without spending?
I don't know.
Sorry, I'm getting a phone call. Sorry.
Oh, right.
Ah,
So we
must
had
be
the Muzak playing in the background.
from beyond.
Sorry about that. Um,
That was God
is it
calling the father. Yeah.
is it possible for me to go on a little walk in the village and maybe go to, Farmer Brownson's uh, milk dairy cow and snip off some tail hairs, which I will
Yeah.
then place in my book without
Yeah,
spending any money.
no, you don't have to worry about points for that. I mean, there is also the dairy farm on site as well, almost as if it's conveniently there by chance. If you wanted other cow hair,
Yeah.
uh, should you need them when you get there. But yeah, you can definitely source some locally as well. So that's not a problem. It certainly won't cost you anything.
I
So
think
I
I'd like
won't
to get
spend anything.
some chalk also.
Ooh. I still very badly want the binoculars, but they're kind of expensive.
That's very bourgeoisie of you to have them.
Exactly. Who am I to deserve to see from farther when others don't have the privilege?
I thought we had a pair of binoculars, but perhaps our vagabond has those with him wherever he is right now.
Maybe he's run off to go back to a woods that he mentioned he's going to check to see if someone's still in a wood where they should be, and said he'd be back in a few days. But obviously, just bad timing. He missed this scenario.
I'll take another cutlass.
Okay,
So
your
I can-
weapons corridor can sort that, so no problem there.
I can dual wield.
Nice.
Oh yeah, that is one of the things you took, wasn't it? Yeah, dual weapon was your additional talent. Okay, you can also save these points if you want to use them to buy stuff on site as well. So that
Yeah.
is another
Well, we
option
do
for you.
that. Yeah.
That's valuable.
Okay. Right, so gathering a quick couple of bits up in the morning before you then head down to the train station, and it's then your Indiana Jones red line moment. You do have a lot of time. In fact, you've got about 16 hours to kill as you speed down towards Esloff. And with time on your hands, this is a good time for you to hone your skills and go brush off some of those old skills of yours and give them a try out. Mechanically, this is a part of the step where you can get an advantage. Um, can apply to a single roll of 2 extra dice. So if there's a skill that you've got on your sheet that you may want to get more dice, or it can be a skill that you've got no points in at all if you really want to like you realize I've got no observation. I really want to be able to tell if someone's lying to me. then you can put that advantage on observation. And when you make an observation roll, you can cash that into say, for this roll, I want 2 extra dice.
Gotcha.
So the only thing that you do is you go around and you narrate the little scene of how you are practicing that skill.
I was going to practice my inspiration, and would be there maybe in the dining car.
Can I ask about? I have a crooked arm.
Oh yes.
What? I mean, briefly,
Right.
what happened there?
That I believe was the result of a church pew in the previous scenario that was animated by Trollcraft. You basically got hit with a very large lump of wood and it almost broke your arm.
Okay.
And when you come to the end of a scenario, you need to make a recovery roll. If you succeed, then you get rid of the injury. However, Henrik did not succeed that roll at the end of the previous scenario. So that now becomes what's called a defect on your sheet. But it's very much the onus is on me as the keeper if I want to be harsh and do that. But I generally, it's only really if it's going to make something interesting that I would that I can invoke it. But yeah, at the minute you don't need to worry about it having an effect. It's mainly for color as being something that you picked up in a previous scenario.
Okay.
I'm gonna have to log off and log back on real quick.
2 minutes later.
I mean,
Sorry about that.
all right. So I'll get my 2 bonus dice I can use for my inspiration at some time then.
That's it. So for one inspiration roll, you can cash that in and gain an additional 2 dice on that roll.
Thank you.
Right, Valentina, you were saying you had an idea for a skill that you wanted?
Yeah, I think interacting with that ghost and putting a scare into him gave her an idea that maybe she could do that to avoid a fight in the future. So she has this strike fear talent which she can use. And I'm thinking maybe if I had like a flash powder or something like that, I could get a +2 bonus on a roll if I needed to try to scare somebody off.
Sure.
So I'll work on something like that.
Gotcha. Now let me have a quick look at that because I can never remember what skill that revolves around.
That's it gives the victim a saving throw, a logic or empathy test.
Yeah,
And
it makes the target make a fear check, but I can't remember if it's a roll on your part as well.
It says fear 1. I don't know what that means exactly.
It means they need 1 success on a fear check. The number after a fear rating is the number of successes you need. They need to roll to not have to roll on the fear table and be terrified.
Okay.
No, there's no roll that you need to make. So
yeah, that's what I took from it.
Gotcha. So, I mean, you've still got that, but an advantage wouldn't give you a mechanical benefit for doing it because there's no roll involved on your part. But if you wanted, you could put it on either your stealth or manipulation. That would then allow your conjuring tricks to be more effective.
Could it translate as a -2 penalty to their saving, to their logic or empathy test?
Ooh, okay. You know what? Why not?
Okay. I'll take it.
So, yeah, if you want to give someone a -2, that's going to be against a regular NPC. That's going to be a fairly debilitating. So, yeah, that'll be interesting to see who you get to make that roll and then almost certainly fail, especially with my dice rolls.
I'll take vigilance, as I always have. So +2 on vigilant.
I just say keeping your beady eye out, so your eagle eye out, shall we say?
Yeah.
Looking around as the train rolls by the countryside.
So I think for Henrik, it's more like character development than like stat. But I think with his crooked arm, it's really suffered like ranged combat, like revolvers and stuff, and that's something he really wants to be able to lean on if need be. So he just kind of steps out the back of the train because he's tried to sleep and that's not working either. He's really kind of messed up from the seance, so sleep's not coming easy. So he's just kind of working on he'll catch a target as it's passing by and just try to take a shot at it. Just try to get that at least a little bit back reliability and confidence in firing a firearm.
It's all good. Franz, you're rubbing off on him.
A man after my own heart. I think I'm going to have a rousing political debate that gets progressively more drunk with Helena on the merits of the monarchy.
Franz, you're so regressive. You're a trip right out of the 17th century. Haven't you read
You,
any of the latest work by Proudhon or Marx about the ideological construction? And you,
you
Father
goddamn
Nicholas.
Hegelians. It was better before Napoleon.
Napoleon
History on
was the
horseback,
spirit
my
of history,
ass.
exactly.
Appropriate
Ah,
you should mention
look,
horses.
out there. There's a Marxist. There's another Marxist.
Dear, dear. So you at least this does give you a nice bit of space in your carriage, as lots of people just tend to get up and walk away to the next carriage to get out of earshot of the argument or debate.
We're all being very.
I am going to get up from the debating table uh, in disgust and contempt at Franz, even though I've enjoyed myself, but I can't let him know that.
Yeah.
And I'd like to work on my stealth a little bit by waiting till the cafe car attendant is turned around making a tea or coffee and sneak up and try to slip a candy bar into my skirt nice and
Oh,
slyly. Yeah, this is my big criminal experience.
sticking it to the capitalist pigs that run this place. I mean,
Exactly.
how dare they charge that much for a bar of chocolate on a train just
How
because you're a captive
absolute.
audience? Yeah.
How dare they?
Ah, dear. But yeah, you can easily swipe a bar. Is not a problem.
Excellent, excellent.
I think that's everyone's skill taken care of, right? In which case, again, roll forward a little bit, and you arrive in Eslov pretty much at not at nightfall. Um, it's still a nice new town. So you've got the train station is all still nice, shiny and new. There's then the town square immediately beyond that, and then you've got the major local landmarks. You've got the local hotel. You've got the one of the main bars in town. You've got the police station, the courthouse, the town hall. All of this stuff is within immediate kind of spitting distance. And this is the night before you would be scheduled to meet with the detective. So you still have got that evening if there's anything you want to do then, or we can cut forward to the meeting the next morning.
Well, we find a place to stay and
Mhm.
get some food.
We're gonna find is this where the Silver Spur is? This town here? The
Uh,
Silver
that's
Spur?
that's flying, which is about an
Okay.
hour
All
from
right.
here by
All right,
coach.
then. Yeah, I'm not
Yeah.
not gonna go that far then. Okay. Yeah, I'll just get something to eat with the father.
So yeah, you can go. You can easily find somewhere. They say there is the hotel that's here. Resources for accommodation are pretty much given as standard. You don't have to worry about buying
Right.
or
Yeah.
be spending it on spending somewhere for the night. So you can also grab a nice meal. It's nothing particularly extravagant, but it's a nice meal that you can grab. Definitely better than the conditions that were around in the famine a few years back. So things have improved since then.
Excellent.
All right. And in which case, then again, we roll forward to the next morning. Unfortunately, friends may find a few more people object to you trying to shoot the cockerel out here in the morning. Uh,
Hmm.
it's okay when it's on your own grounds, but yeah, in the middle of a city, they might take exception to it. But you can wander over at the bright old hour of 9 a.m. over to the police station because it's just across the square, and meet with Detective Regina Erkstrom. So the detective comes out to meet you. She's dressed in a long, fairly nice dark coat, uh, fairly nice and formal, but not like a uniform formal,
Hmm.
and carries herself with a degree of dignity and degree of veritas that she's probably in her mid to late 20s, you'd think. But yeah, otherwise fairly good looking girl. She takes you across to a relatively private room, well out of earshot of any of her colleagues, and particularly away from the prying eyes of her superior. and closes the door behind you and kind of breathes a bit of a sigh of relief and evidently lets her guard down a little bit. Says, "Well, I'm glad you were able to get here so soon and to be able to meet the time scale. Unfortunately, I wanted to get you in on the weekend so that there was less chance of my boss seeing you because he was scheduled to go on leave for the next couple of days, and he's not as open-minded as we are. I'd like to thought I'm hoping I'm not being presumptuous when I say we. I believe we're all people here that believe in the invisible world after all."
Yeah, Constable Stevenson said your captain may be a roadblock in our way.
Yeah, she wasn't wrong. So he's great at solving the normal mundane issues, but when something like this comes up, he's just more of a hindrance. And unfortunately, there's a lot of people like him out there that they believe in cold hard reality and cold hard fact, but they don't have the imagination or the faith that there is more out there than what they can just see.
Yeah.
Well, not everybody's built for it, so.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, my father used to tell me stories of the society based out. He said there was a chapter house of yours down in Lund years ago, but it went
Mhm.
it went fairly quiet. It was only just by chance that I heard of some of your more recent exploits that I heard that apparently Uppsala was in operation. So I thought I'd go out on a limb and drop you a line because honestly, I'm stuck. What This is not a normal case for me, and yeah, this I'm hopefully you're hoping you're going to have more of an idea of what's going on here and what we can do to solve this. Because, like I said, I'm kind of at a loss. So
Hmm.
the floor's yours. What do you need from me?
Well, Valentina practically solved the whole thing already.
Can we see the bodies and the site of the murder?
Yeah, I mean we brought both of the bodies back here. Uh, Flying is such a small place; it doesn't have its own police presence there. They had to basically call up to us, and then we had to dispatch one of our constables, me included, to go down there and investigate. So
Well, I
there's no
think we
real
should start
facility there for
there.
storing. Yeah, there's no real facility there for storing a body. So we've got them both on ice downstairs.
Oh,
Um, they're not what I would call um, gruesome, but I mean they're still dead bodies. So if anyone's squeamish, then you don't have to go and look.
Is there any previous history in flying of violence or murders?
No, and the place is fairly dull. I hazard to say. About there's the stud farm there, which has got a pretty much impeccable record.
oh,
All of the other businesses in town are almost like satellite industries. They all pretty much exist like flies around the dung heap of
Hmm,
the stud farm. That if there was no stud farm, they wouldn't have a business. They wouldn't have anyone to
hmm.
exist as clients.
I see.
But yeah, it's a pretty quiet place. There's nothing on record from what I could tell, which why my initial investigation into Fred Olander's death was that I believed it was someone that was maybe a business contact from outside of town,
Hmm.
that it was someone that he had annoyed that was, say, outside of flying that he'd been dealing with through his business. But she turns to look at Valentina. You're saying that you've managed to solve this already? You were saying?
No, that was an exaggeration. Is there a coroner's report?
Well, the closest we've got to a coroner. I mean, we've had the medical examiner have a look at both of them, and from what we can tell in both cases, it looks like they were suffocated. There was a large weight that was pressed down on their chest, that almost to the point where it could have broken ribs, but didn't quite. But definitely enough bruising there to imply there was definitely something that sat on their chest and also their arms. but there could have been again someone kneeling on the chest or kneeling on the arms, restraining them as they were putting a pillow over their face. So nothing that seemed immediately odd, but the amount of horse tracks, the hoof prints that we saw in the house.
Very strange. Yes.
Were the hoof prints I mean, did it trace mud in? Was it water? Was it just dents in the carpet? Were they all over in a way that was consistent or just occasionally planted?
Well, from what we could tell, they were definitely horse prints,
Hmm.
because we could still see that there were the imprints, the horseshoes.
Hmm.
So there was plenty of scratch marks. The floor of the brand house or the farmhouse where these tracks were found, they weren't they weren't muddy, so they hadn't dragged in any detritus from outside.
Hmm.
It almost looks as if just this horse just appeared inside the house
Hmm.
and then started going around the ground floor before finally going up the stairs and then into the bedroom, which, considering the amount of furniture that had been piled against the door from the inside, almost Mr. Brand apparently tried to barricade himself in.
Mm.
Hmm.
Hmm.
We
That's
we
interesting.
had some reports that one of the farm hands had almost been shot, although apparently he woke in the middle of the night and was screaming. One of the farm hands ran to go and see what the disturbance was, and when they knocked on the door, immediately got a shotgun blast, nearly took their face off.
Hmm.
And he basically they all left him to his room and didn't dare go near him in case they got shot again. In that
Smart.
time, he barricaded himself in, and then the next morning, when the farmhands got brave enough, they went to go and find out what had happened, and they found him dead,
And
Oh,
barricaded in his room.
barricaded in his room, and still having the hoof prints going around his bedroom.
Was
So,
the room still barricaded? Did they have to force? So they did have to force it, huh?
Yeah,
Hmm.
again,
so
which made
this,
no sense.
so
Well,
Mr. Olin, oh, go ahead.
on the top of it, it does seem like there may be something very supernatural involved.
Indeed.
Do we know were Mr. Olander or Mr. Brand acquaintances or friends even?
Well, they were about the same age. They're both in their late 40s. Both of them, from my notes, they were both members of the community. They were both born in the village. Um, I assume they went to school together, so they grew up together. But otherwise, it's a small community. People are going to know each other, so that was almost a given. She reaches down into one of her pockets and pulls out a small, what looks like a journal, and says, "We did find this next to the first victim, say Mr. Olander." And she tosses the journal across the table towards you.
Hmm.
And not too much that I could really pick up from in there, but it might be of interest to yourself.
Let's take a look at the journal.
Oh, yes. Uh, I'll read it, gentlemen. All right, and ladies. Extracts from the Journal of Fred Olander. The book is made from coarse, rough cut paper sheets and held closed by a leather strap wrapped around it. There are not entries for every day, and there only appears to be entries made when something of importance occurs, usually related to business matters, celebrating large projects, etc. They are rarely more than a few lines long. The followings are the final entries. March 8th. Terrible dream last night. Badly shaken. Can't afford distractions. Need to finish the Hanson wardrobe by Sunday. March 9th. Another bad night. Similar to previous. Must have got to me more than I thought. Never bothered me before. Why now? March 10th. Must hold on. I must hold on too. Never bothered me before. Always did my part. Maybe he's right, and a bottle will help me sleep better. Not too much, though. Need to finish the bloody wardrobe tomorrow. Hmm.
The Hansen, from my investigations, proved to be Evelina Hansen, the manager of the stud farm. that had commissioned a wardrobe to hold a series of fire-based document storage that would be in keeping with the manor house that's on site, because they have a quite, from what I can tell, quite demanding clientele. And on a related note, we understand there's apparently some kind of inspection that's going to be happening there within the next few days from the Royal Mounted Guard. They're sending a team down to the stud farm to find out whether they've got any justified grounds for concerns over the treatment of the horses there.
Oh. Hmm. Is there a village midwife, or if someone's having a baby in the village that they would go to? Do you know that you know of?
She flicks through her notebook. There was one a few years ago. The former vet at the stud farm, Tekla Jonsson. She apparently was the person that people would need to see if in the event of needing a midwife. Although she died about 5 years ago. She's been replaced by Marie Eliasson, was her understudy, was the veterinary assistant, and is now the veterinary surgeon at the stud farm.
Marie. Oh, sorry,
Marie. Yeah.
Marie Eliason. Okay, and that was 5 years ago.
Yes, yeah. Although I believe Marie has been working there for considerably more than 5 years.
Okay.
Well, Constable, we believe that this series of killings is due to a crime that was committed many years ago involving 4 men, 2 of whom are now dead, and the remaining 2, we don't know their identities.
Oh, what crime? Who was the victim? She pulls out her notebook, ready to take some details.
Have to be ready to provide proof once you start accusing people.
This isn't the United States, goddammit. This is a rational country. We don't have rights
Rational or
here.
not, our reputations are on the line if it's a false accusation.
Well, it's just a suspicion.
I'm not pointing fingers. I'm not saying what you're telling me is the law, or the kind of letter of truth. But if it's a lead, if it's something, I'm going to make a note of it. So what have you got?
Well, all we have is a first name, which was, I believe, Marie or Maria, who was apparently the victim of some kind of sexual violence by 4 men many years ago, and was impregnated. And we believe that this is the cause of a spiritual unrest within this person.
Okay, she's she evidently has taken this quite seriously. She's started off writing fairly quickly and is now writing rather more slowly and more deliberately, underlining a couple of words.
We know one of those was Mr. Olander. We suspect possibly that Mr. Brand is also involved. Do we know of any shared acquaintances between those two?
Everybody in that town knows one another.
Yeah, men around the same age, possibly.
There's a lot of potential suspects that could meet that criteria. That's the problem.
Yeah.
She wouldn't have remembered the incident either.
Probably was never reported. As a constable, you must take all of this with a grain of salt. This information was obtained using unusual means, not always reliable means, but it's part of our investigation. So you should know that we're looking for a tie-in between these gentlemen, most likely at the pub.
That's the Silver Spur, if I remember right.
That's correct, yes. I'm not sure how much more information we're going to be able to get without actually directly investigating. You said Fly is about an hour away?
Yeah, it's about an hour by carriage. I can get you down there without any difficulties. I have preemptively, assuming you would arrive, so which I'm very glad you did. Um, I've contacted the local, in fact, the owner of the inn, the Silver Spur, man by the name of Lundberg, Stefan Lundberg, um, for arranging rooms for you. So yeah, you will have you've got uh, well, however many rooms you need when you arrive there.
Interesting.
We'll
Appreciate it.
we'll
Thank
we'll
you.
confer with Helena. She'll tell us how many rooms we need.
How many rooms do we need? Well,
That's
let's
that's up to
see.
you.
In this country at this time, the average room per head is, well, it's usually five in a room for a peasant class, but the bourgeois have about a quarter to a room. Uh, we'll be in Lund. I'm sorry, not in Lund. So, hmm. Two to a room? Does
There's
that sound
three
fair?
ladies and three men, so
Three to a room then. Two rooms for three each. Nope.
Safety in numbers.
There you go.
That's right. We
Yes.
need room to get naked and do our little dance in a circle by the moonlight.
Exactly. Don't tell them in our secrets, Valentina.
If we ever needed a feminist, it was now. To be fair.
and if you run into trouble, just knock on the door and the men will come to save you.
Oh, we'll have a man with us already. So, I would like to see the bodies.
Hmm.
So,
Yeah, I can certainly take you down there now. So
anyone
for the,
anyone want to join me?
I'll pass.
I will join you.
Thank you, Heinrich. Okay, so
Right,
yeah.
in which it sounds she does a quick look around the rest, the other three, and I'm not seeing any nods or head shakes, so looks like it's just Dorothea and Henrik.
Oh no,
Okay.
Valentina's going to go too.
Oh, yeah,
Oh,
and Valentina. There we go. So the three of you, she takes you downstairs. Um, it's a bit dingy down here. It's almost rising damp. There's a very definite moisture in the air,
mhm.
and there's the smell of death that
Mm,
lingers down here as there are lots of bodies that pass through here. Dorothea feels perfectly fine and perfectly at home, really.
yeah, you get used to it.
Yeah,
Mhm.
sadly so. But yeah, she takes you through to one of the storage rooms, and there are a couple of tables lined up alongside each other, which then have a couple of doors that lead into alcove compartments. She pulls open the door, slides out the tray to then deposit them on a table.
Mhm.
And yeah, you have two bodies that they've been kept moderately cold, so
Yeah,
decomposition hasn't happened too badly, but they have been dead for a little while now.
yeah. Oh,
By this point,
have they had the Y incision, the autopsy and stuff? Or okay, so
yeah, um, looks for a trained eye like yourself, looks like it's a fairly not haphazard, but it doesn't look like it's been done by a skilled professional, which
hmm
you're outside of a major city, you'd be expecting
yeah,
that they'd probably have less qualified individuals out here.
yeah.
You are now on the Saturday the 18th. So the first victim, Fred, was 8 days ago now that he died. So that's commensurate with the state that you find the body in. And likewise, then Victor, the second victim, he's been dead 4 days now. So that was back on the Tuesday the 14th. And again, there's nothing that looks like the bodies have unnaturally decayed or that there's
hmm
anything weird beyond or connected to the length of time they've been dead. What you're
Right.
seeing definitely adds up. But yeah,
Okay.
there's definitely signs that something fairly heavy landed on their chest, pinned down their arms, and yeah, they look like they've suffocated entirely.
Okay. So
Lips are very blue, very pale.
the bruising on their chest, where and so take measurements of the bruises and
Hmm.
make notes, see if I can figure out how large of a thing was
Hmm.
on their chest, and yeah.
Right, the thing that was on their chest. You can give me a medicine roll to see if you can ascertain some physical
Eh,
details
well,
here.
that would be 7 dice. Hey, a success.
Okay. All right. Definitely humanoid. So it was definitely a person, or at least a person-like being. So it wasn't a horse that leapt on them. That's
Right, yeah.
the big
Hmm.
thing you can ascertain there.
Yeah.
But something that has got quite a bit of strength. Um, in terms of its potentially how it can move and its strength behind it, you're looking at something that just is within range of having single digits worth of dice to roll. So, in mechanical terms, it has a might of 6 and a body manipulation of 9, a body control of 9.
Oh,
So, yeah, it's got quite some physical stats behind it. So
yeah.
yeah, it's strong. It was able to move fairly quick, and there's the faintest hints around, particularly around the arms where it held Victor down,
Hmm.
that it does have claws. So there are scratch marks. So
Hmm.
the initial coroner's report says that it just probably was from fingernails or maybe just have been coincidental marks. No, you're fairly
Yeah.
certain this thing has got claws
Okay.
and fairly
But
long fingers as well. So while this is going to be a fairly slender body, or not slender, a fairly elongated body, it's a strong body.
okay, yeah. All right. I mean, with my medicine, I'm sure the doctor would know, check to see if like the bone in the neck is broke from when, someone strangles someone, it breaks that bone. Then check the fingernails of the corpse, see if he fought back, if he scratched whatever was on him, see if there's anything there. Like,
Did they
Yeah,
remove all the jewelry?
there wasn't any jewelry on them, and they were asleep at the time. And there's no ring, there's no wedding rings on either of them, and there's no mark of their having. There's no like wedding band mark around the finger, so they weren't. There's nothing that's been removed from them that's got them missing, as if it was stolen after death.
yeah, okay,
Likewise, their fingers don't show any signs of any scratches that they hadn't scratched whatever it was that attacked them. So
okay,
there's nothing under their fingernails.
mm,
But also, the neck isn't broken, but you
okay.
do catch that it looks as though something was put over the lips,
Mm,
maybe as if a very large mouth came down to kiss them.
hmm, curious.
Maybe then formed a seal over their lips, and that's maybe what suffocated them.
Oh, if Franz was down here, we could ask him if that mare that he knew, if that's how it kills it. We'll have to be sure to
Are
make
there
note of that.
any hairs or any other residue on the body that might indicate what it was? That
There's otherwise around some of the areas where it's bruised, there is almost this oily residue
Mm,
that again is left as kind of maybe unexplained. There's a list of options of what it could have been, but there's no definitive answer to say this is what it is.
okay,
But again, looking back to what Franz informed you of, that this
yeah,
thing can change itself into this oily smoke. So this is probably what residue from that, rather than being anything they could easily and scientifically identify.
okay. And you might have said it, or maybe I'm assume uh, the both bodies very similar. Heavy thing on it, oil around the lips and everything. Okay,
Yeah.
all right. Hmm. Hmm. Well, I think that your Spectre or whatever you talked to Valentina last night might have pointed us in the right direction.
Everything
maybe, but
seems to line up with that.
spirits can be misleading as well. So,
Indeed. Well, it would make sense. I mean, the door was barricaded. They can get through a knot hole in the wood. Hmm. I'm glad the father brought those linseeds.
Valentina does bring up a valid point. We have been misled by the spirits in the past.
Of course, yeah.
Last time we had a seance, it was pretty correct, but
Yes,
I'll
so
defer to your judgment.
also, in order to truly solve this, we need evidence. We need to put this cycle of events together, the sequence of events together in some rational form and establish how this happened and who did it.
This crime occurred many years ago, apparently, so not going to be much evidence, unfortunately, unless we can get a confession.
We'll see.
In
Okay.
any case, we have to find a way to drive this thing, this spirit, nightmare, if you will, back to where it came from, or, well, it's not about allowing the spirits to get revenge for crimes done to them. It's about saving humanity from these strange things that are inflicting themselves upon us all.
What is it exactly that they want us to do to assist with their investigation?
They want us to make it stop.
To make the killing stop.
Mhm.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, particularly the detective is obviously interested in that she doesn't want to see anyone else die, or given the fact that you've mentioned about particularly there's some kind of sexual violence component here, she would maybe drop in that, well, maybe if certain people died, I would turn a blind eye to it, especially if they were responsible for this.
Well, we're
Um,
not in the business of killing people, but all the same, sometimes these investigations end without a fall guy.
Mhm.
And I think it would be best if you knew that from the start. If are to drive off this spirit or whatever it is successfully, then there won't be anyone left for you to put in jail or to take responsibility for the crime. So success, in a way, means that you won't get a victim.
no,
Let us not, I'm sorry, let us not forget, too, that regardless of any crime or sin that any of a person might commit, they have the ability to change their ways and go in another direction. To kill them or to allow them to be killed robs them of that opportunity to repent and to make amends for the crimes they've done. I myself know this quite well.
Yeah, I was just going to add that yeah, you certainly she would not advocate saying that I don't want you to go out and kill anyone, but you also don't have to save them if you find that they are maybe particularly bad people. Just laying that as an option.
Mhm.
So we
But
have
my
been given the power of life and death.
yeah,
I like this.
my
We are
my
all
main
good people and we are all bad people at the same time. Let's not forget that.
my main concern as an officer of the law is that we've had two murders here, and the police have been called. I need to find either someone that's responsible or have some kind of explanation if we can't bring someone to justice. So I need to have some kind of story to help close the case.
Of course.
Well, we
So
won't
looking,
provide you with a scapegoat, but we definitely stop it from happening. I'm sure you're going to get the explanation that your superior is going to accept.
Once I'm armed with the facts, I can craft something that I can make that dunderhead listen to.
so I think I had talent that I could take still. Um, can correct me if I'm wrong, but so Henrik, I'm sitting back, kind of looking at everything, kind of playing everything in my head that we've learned so far. I've got my pipe from my father, kind of just perched in my mouth because it helps me think. If I have the talent, I've took elementary if I
Yeah,
could.
you've got it.
So I'd like to use that just kind of as I'm mulling everything over, everything I've learned now, looking at the bodies and everything, just to kind of ask if there's anything I've missed. It allows me to ask the game master to explain how clues are connected. So if
Ah.
there's anything that everything put on a table together, is there something there that we've just not keyed upon? Maybe not, but
There is potentially something that you've missed or you've not investigated yet. So yes, you can give me that role.
Okay. Let's see. What would that roll be? It
It's
says
investigate.
investigate. Okay. So that's 3 for investigate, and I have 5 for logic, so 8 dice.
Wow.
Yep.
Nice.
He's a private investigator. This is kind of what he does.
That's true.
I got three sixes.
Oh, there we go. Right. Yeah, there's there's a couple of loose ends that if you were to plot this out on a like a clue diagram, you know that a mare or nightmare or Mara is created by the mother having performed this ritual to alleviate pains through childbirth. Now, the mother, you haven't got a definitive, it's this person. The very, very highly likely suspect, though, is Marie, because you know about the fact that she was assaulted and that she got pregnant. But there was no mention in the seance as to what happened with the child. So whoever the Mara is, that is still, at the minute, unknown.
So we definitely need to look into if Marie's child from this assault.
Yeah, now that's definitely a big black hole that you haven't got any threads definitively leading towards who this person is. So the mother is more than likely Marie, but the Mara could be anyone at this point. But well, assuming that she's the mother, it has to be obviously her daughter.
Because if it was a boy, it would have been a werewolf.
Correct,
Yes.
and then you wouldn't have the whole nightmare angle. There is a pattern as well that you, with all the information that you got from Franz, it's quite blatant in the evidence you've got, but doesn't match up with what Franz has got. Why 4 nights? Now there's about 4 victims. Oh, not 4 victims. There's the four people that assaulted Marie. Maybe a coincidence, but there's nothing about the number 4 that comes up. So the fact that they had dreams on 1, 2, 3 nights, then the 4th night they died, and then the next 4 set of nights you had dreams, and then the second victim died. There's no significance to the number 4 outside of this case. So this might be something that there must be a reason behind it. And it could be the fact that you've got the 4 victims, but with that amount of successes, you're thinking there's something else there. Again, it's a black hole of info you don't have yet. There's also another thing which is lingering, because that's maybe the 2 of your 3 successes you got. The third thing to consider: why now? Because Fred's journal said he hadn't been plagued by guilt about this in decades. So why now? Something must have happened that will have awoken the mayor in someone. And ways that this normally happens, if you were to kind of cross-reference with lycanthropy for the werewolf, would be either physical or emotional trauma of the poor possessed person in this case, or that they came of age. You're not too sure how long ago the assault took place, so you can't pin down as to how old the daughter might be. So that again means that that's a kind of a black or grey area. But has there been something that's happened locally that could be that could have been a significant emotional or physical trauma that could have awoken this? Again, that's another line of investigation that you can pursue when you get to the village, that might help you identify who the Mara is.
So,
Also,
yeah. Oh, go ahead.
4 days, 4 days. Tonight is the 4th night.
It is.
Yeah.
It's another 4 days.
Oh,
So someone in town has been having very nasty dreams for the last 3 nights.
we have no time to spare. We need to get down there and see if we see someone that looks exhausted.
Yeah. I think that's our first order, is try to find out if anybody's been having nightmares for the past 3 nights. And hopefully maybe find out who Marie's child is. I think those are our 2 pressing things. But obviously the first being person who's in trouble tonight.
Let's catch our
All right.
carriage.
Yep. So you can head outside and head to the carriage, and then it's a nice hour's trip down to flying. And I know we're a little bit before time, but that is probably a fairly good point to wrap up for this evening, because then we can pick up with you arriving at the village next week.
Very interesting.
Our players included Max Meltzer, Kent Blue, Preston Firestone, Keith Craig, Stefan Amshi, and myself with Matthew Sanderson as the the game master. We have a Discord server where you can chat with other members, you can set up private games, and you can learn the finer arts of gameplay and game mastering. We provide audio-only versions of our shows free for you to download from Spotify, Podbean, or iTunes. Support for the show is provided by our patrons who are listed in the closing credits. If you'd like to show us your appreciation, please visit our Patreon page, or you can use the thanks button just below the screen. Like, share, and subscribe to our channel, and punch the bell icon for updates on our latest shows, and leave us some comments. We enjoy reading them and answer any questions you might have. This is Thom Raley, together with all the members of our gaming club, inviting you to journey with us once again into the darkness for another adventure into the folklore of ancient Sweden and the Vaesen role-playing game. Until next time, good luck, good gaming.